Could a supplement help your child feel calmer and more balanced? Let's talk about the top 5 that can help. Hi, I'm Dr. Roseann, and I make calming dysregulation easy. And today we're diving into the best supplements, really the top 5 for supporting complex behavioral issues and PANS and PANDAS. So everybody wants supplements. They're great. We are so nutrient deficient for so many reasons: stress, poor diet, just being busy. Supplements can make a huge difference. And you always want to work with a provider to really test what you need, look at your levels, and make sure you're getting high quality supplements. And know that not all supplements are the same. Go back and listen to my episode that I did with MD Logic about how important potency is and purity, and the ingredients make a huge difference. Let's talk about my top 5. Please know that there are more than these 5, but these are really my essentials. Honestly, my kids are on most of these probably except for one, because these are essential, right? These are things that you could be taking, your child with PANS and PANDAS, and again, always check with your provider. So let's start with my number one favorite nutrient, and it's magnesium L-threonate. So magnesium L-threonate is very different. There are multiple forms of magnesium, and they're all important and they can be helpful. But magnesium L-threonate, let's start with the benefits. So number 1, it is really there to support the brain, the nervous system, and neurotransmitters. And we know that 300 to 600 chemical processes in the body require magnesium as a cofactor. But what sets magnesium L-threonate apart from all the other forms of magnesium is that it crosses the blood-brain barrier. What does that mean? As I like to say, it basically is like an injection of magnesium into the brain. It goes right into the brain. So there's only one other form. It's not been well researched. It's newer, that crosses the blood-brain barrier. This is the most researched. It's not in a lot of magnesiums. I'm going to give a plug. Oh, this is full. But in our Neurotastic Multi-Mag Brain formula, it has 3 different forms of magnesium, and it has L-threonate at the dosages that research says makes a difference. And that's important. So it's not in a lot of products because it's 9 times more expensive than it's the next best brain one, which is magnesium glycinate. And I have that in there too. Now, it not only just crosses the blood-brain barrier, but it decreases neuroinflammation and inflammation without the body, right? Because it's getting the body to do its job. It supports sleep. 90% of detoxification occurs during sleep. So we need deeper sleep, right? We need better quality sleep. So what's the dosage? So it's for children, it's 1,000 to 1,200 mgs, depending on your age, your weight. We actually have right on the back of ours, this is for not just kids, it's a powder, but we have it for adults here. And we have a really cool scoop that is designed for kids 4 and up, and it's 2 scoops for adult to make it easy. For kids, powder is best because kids can't do enough. They can't swallow pills. Most kids, I know some kids are pretty cool and they can. But I also know that given PANS and PANDAS and restrictive eating, it can be tough. We have a flavorless version. It can be added to things. Magnesium is best at night because it does really calm the nervous system. I have some people doing a quarter or a half dose or even a second full dose earlier in the day if they have anxiety or OCD. But ideally, it's taken at night. Magnesium, the most essential nutrient in the body. Every single person should be taking magnesium, and L-threonate is the Mac Daddy for the brain. And lots of good research. I mean, I could go on about how it helps with attention and mood and all kinds of things, clinically proven to improve cognitive functioning. And that's again because it goes right into the brain. My number 2 vitamin, zinc. So zinc is, the benefits of zinc is that it boosts immune function, it decreases inflammation, and one of the top benefits for PANS PANDAS is it decreases restrictive eating. It really tends to improve, not for everybody, for a lot of people, it restores taste and it really helps kids to eat better. Why does it help? So it modulates the immune response. There's a lot of research in zinc that came out too with COVID and how it was helpful, but zinc is an essential. A deficiency in zinc obviously affects your immune function, but behaviorally can worsen mood, behavior, and again, it can reduce eating and desire for eating. It's an essential that I recommend for anybody that is a restrictive eater or a picky eater. The dose, 10 to 20 milligrams. You want to be really careful. You don't want to have max over 40 is not good. And you must take it with food. If you do not take zinc with food, you can get nauseous and then kids refuse it. Most people don't have those symptoms. And if they did have nausea, you're going to work with your provider, but you could start out really low doses. You can combine it for vitamin C to boost the immune system. They like to work nicely together. There are liquids, there are capsules, which sometimes you can open up, but then you can't control the dosage in the same way. And there's lozenges. So I see a lot of lozenges that have vitamin C, elderberry, and zinc. So go for it. You only need a small amount to get the clinical effect. One of the problems with magnesium, and particularly L-threonate and another vitamins we're going to talk about, is you need a lot. So you can't really get good quality dosages in capsules. So, you want to think about that too and say, what is that dose? So an important nutrient, not just for immune system, but supporting those restrictive eating. Love zinc. It's a really good one. Okay. Vitamin D. Vitamin D is the jelly to the peanut butter of magnesium. They love to work together. There's a real synergistic effect. So vitamin D is truly an essential nutrient, and there's research that says up to 70% of the US population is deficient. Some people in the range, some people who are within the normal range, but on the lower end still could be low. But a lot of our PANS PANDAS kids, when they get their testing, are low. And that means it's needed for nervous system regulation. It's needed for immune system. Our hormones are dependent on vitamin D. It's really an essential vitamin in the body. And, we need it. And, unless you're living in a sunny state and you're not putting on a lot of sunblock, you're probably deficient, at least in the winter. So it really is low levels of vitamin D is linked to immune dysfunction, not just in PANS PANDAS, but in autoimmune. When we have appropriate levels, right, of vitamin D, we have better energy, we have better mood, we have less anxiety, and we have better hormonal functioning. Vitamin D, again, I already said vitamin D, when you pair it with magnesium, it's great for calming. It's great for hormones, premenstrual symptoms. A lot of my PANS PANDAS kids have menstrual cycle related flares. And so adding extra magnesium and vitamin D the week before, little tip. Okay, dose between 1,000 and 2,000 IUs. Sometimes, depending on if you're a teenager, it could be much higher. You always want to get your blood levels checked. Vitamin D is fat soluble, and fat soluble level of vitamins can have toxicity. So vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E. So you want to get your blood levels checked to make sure that, first of all, what you're taking is actually happening and getting the appropriate level within the body. Because if it's not, we need to dig deeper, your medical provider. Best with meals, best in the morning. It does really nicely if you add a little, have fat, which hopefully your child's first meal of the day has fat. It could be a lunchtime, hopefully a relatively easy. There's drops. There's little capsules. You don't need a lot. Some people don't want to take it daily, so they do, a high dose like twice a week. Always talk about to your provider. I always try to think about, what's best for the kids that I work with. Number 4 for PANS and PANDAS and complex behaviors is inositol. So inositol is an amino acid, and there's a lot of great clinical research for OCD and mood issues and hormones too. And so whenever I have somebody who has, hypervigilance or OCD, this is just an easy one because people tend to respond pretty quickly. It's an amino acid and it's generally safe. So it benefits brain health, reduces OCD symptoms, and aids in just relaxation in general. It does it by supporting serotonin pathways, right? So the doses, you want to start at about 500 milligrams. The research shows like super high levels for adults. And then you want to increase to 2,000 to 4,000 based on age, weight, and response. Again, work with a provider. I always start with a devote dose with magnesium at night. It's not, it doesn't make you tired. It just can have like a calming effect on the nervous system in a non-tired way. Usually they split the dose and we do one in the morning and do one in the afternoon. Now you have to take a lot of it. So this is a powder. The capsules don't have a lot of, they're not going to be potent enough in general. You want to look at it. Inositol has a natural sweetness to it, so it's often flavorless, just like our magnesium is sweetened with monk fruit, organic monk fruit. And so there is a level of sweetness to it. We tamped it down because you asked us to. It's the same thing with inositol. It pairs really nicely with magnesium. It's a great nervous system calmer, and you can start seeing like magnesium. I mean, our magnesium, I've never known somebody to not feel the impact in some way, shape, or form. It's not going to magic wand anything. And you need constancy, and you need to do these things consistently for you to really look at the symptoms. Number 5, probiotics. You need a solid probiotic. I mean, what is the benefit? It improves gut health. It is your second brain. It's going to affect neurotransmitters. It affects the immune system, and it decreases inflammation. We need our guts working, and especially with our kids that are restrictive eaters, or they're not pooping and they're not detoxifying. The microbiome, the gut brain connection is very serious, and the microbiome can break down pretty easily. Even, one dose of antibiotics, one infection, not to say you should freak out because your kid had one, and it doesn't mean they're necessarily going to always develop PANS and PANDAS, but you want to build back up your bacteria. And in the case of PANS and PANDAS, again, it's supporting that gut brain connection. The connection between the two occurs through something called our vagus nerve, and it's a pathway between our gut and brain, and there is a bidirectional influence. So the gut influences the brain influences the gut, and it's just a quick, easy thing to add in. I recommend, first of all, never buy your supplements on that big box retailer that starts with an A called Amazon, because we have no idea where that stuff came from. It could be stored in somebody's attic that's 120 degrees. It could be stored in a garage that's cold, and it could destroy the quality and purity of that ingredient, and you're wasting your time and money, because then you're going to say it didn't work, but maybe it didn't work because it wasn't high quality. So always buy it from a reputable place. You want a broad spectrum probiotic. You want to either buy it from a high quality place that's going to send it refrigerated. There are some shelf stable versions that I do like. I'm not going to name names. You want to ideally take it at night. So 5 to 10 billion is a good amount. You want to take it at night if you can, because sometimes, you're taking your magnesium right before bed. I usually take like an hour before bed. And you take your probiotic, and then it sits undisturbed. But you definitely want to take it when your stomach is empty. Sometimes people take it first thing. Just know that when you take a probiotic, you might have to poop. So kids a lot of times don't want to poop at school. So figure out your routine and pooping is important, and we want that. And you want to just start slow. You want to be consistent. If you have a sensitive PANS and PANDAS kid, start with the most essential ones. Start with magnesium, see what happens, wait 2 days, 3 days. I wouldn't wait too much longer, otherwise it's going to take forever. Then add your next one, which is vitamin D. Now, vitamin D is fat soluble, so the effect isn't always going to be immediate, but it does produce some energy. And so, again, take it in the morning. And then you want to talk about the benefits of these nutrients with your kids. Like, I just kind of weave them into conversations, and they start to understand it's important, because we don't want this to be something that kids resist because they're looking for control. That's why it's important to include them in the dialogue, help them to understand how powerful they can be. Don't be, a dictator about it. have it in a conversation that's educational, that's light at times when you're not taking it so they can understand it. And you want to track micro changes. So don't look for magic, look for glimmers, right? What's the changes in the intensity, frequency, and duration of symptoms? Not just behaviors, but maybe physical symptoms. Always work with a very literate professional who's supporting you with your PANS PANDAS symptoms. And if you're interested in working with me, you can go to www.drroseann.com/help. And that's that solution matcher that's going to take you to where you need to go. And there's lots of solutions for where you're at, from calming to the nervous system to boosting the immune system. These are my 5 must haves for kids with complex issues. Again, there are other nutrients that I adore, but I know sometimes you want to know what the most essential ones are, and these are it.